Have you ever looked at someone who's had this massive breakthrough success and just wondered, how? What's the real difference between a one-hit wonder and someone with lasting impact? Well, it's not some big moment of genius. It's not one giant leap. It's actually something much quieter, much more consistent. And honestly, it's way more powerful. So, let's get into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden law that truly governs progress. You've probably heard this quote before, right? It just perfectly nails this huge misunderstanding we all have. We love the story of the overnight success. You know, the musician that just blows up out of nowhere, or the athlete who just shatters a world record. But the thing is, we're only seeing the final scene of a very, very long movie. I mean, think about Usain Bolt's legendary 100-meter sprint. What we see on TV is less than 10 seconds of pure glory. What we don't see are the years, the thousands of hours of grueling, repetitive, and let's be honest, pretty boring training that made those 10 seconds even possible. We always see the event, but we miss the process. And the process? The process is absolutely everything. So what's the engine driving all this unseen work? It's a principle called the compound effect. And the formula is just beautifully simple. Small, seemingly insignificant choices, when you do them consistently over time, lead to radical, just mind-blowing results. It's not about how intense you are, it's about how consistent you are. To really see this in action, just imagine this choice. I offer you $3 million cash right now. Or a single magic penny that doubles in value every single day for 31 days. I know, it seems like a no-brainer, but that penny is the winning ticket. If you just had the patience to let it compound, by day 31, you'd have over $10 million. That is the insane, explosive power of compounding. And here's a brilliant example of how this plays out in real life. Let's say you have 3 friends. Friend number 1 makes tiny, positive changes, reads 10 pages a day, cuts back just a few calories. Friend number 2 does nothing different. And friend number 3 makes tiny, bad choices, eats a little more junk food, watches a bit more TV. For months, maybe even a year, they all look pretty much the same. But you fast forward about 31 months, and their lives are on completely different paths, all because of those tiny daily choices. Okay, so if this is all so simple and so powerful, why is it so hard to stick with it? We've all been there. We join the gym in January, we buy that book we're definitely going to read, and then a few weeks later, we're right back where we started. Why is being consistent so tough? Well, the answer really lies in our expectations. See, we think progress should be linear. We believe that every little bit of effort we put in should give us an immediate, visible result. But reality just doesn't work that way. Real, meaningful growth isn't a straight line. It's a curve that stays flat for a long time before it shoots up. That flat part is called the plateau of latent potential. And this gap, you see, the space between the straight line we expect and the flat curve we actually get, that creates what's known as the valley of disappointment. This is the danger zone. This is where, after weeks or months of putting in the work and seeing nothing for it, most of us quit. We just assume our effort was for nothing. But here's the secret, the thing you have to remember. That work was not wasted, not a single bit of it. Every single rep, every page you read, every time you made the better choice, it's all being stored. You're building up potential energy, just waiting for the right moment to break through. Think of it like this. You've got an ice cube in a cold room. You start slowly heating the room, 1 degree at a time. 26 degrees, 27, 30, 31, and absolutely nothing happens. The ice cube just sits there. You'd get discouraged, right? You'd think, this isn't working. But then you hit 32 degrees, and boom, a breakthrough. The ice begins to melt. That 1 degree shift wasn't any more special than the ones before it. It just happened to cross a critical threshold. Okay, so this all sounds like a great self-help story, a nice motivational idea. But what if I told you this isn't just about having a good mindset? What if this whole breakthrough effect is actually governed by a pretty strict mathematical law that explains why success so often looks like a lucky break, even when it's not? This whole idea is explained by a concept from network science called cumulative advantage. It's basically the fancy academic term for the rich get richer effect. In any system where this law applies, and that includes wealth, popularity, even skills, the more you have of something, the easier it becomes to get even more. It creates this powerful, accelerating feedback loop. To really understand this, some researchers modeled 2 different kinds of competitions. In a simple system without this cumulative advantage, it's easy. Skill is all that matters.
The better person wins, and they usually win pretty fast. But the moment you add cumulative advantage to the model, everything changes. Suddenly, small, early advantages become incredibly important.
And this is where things get really wild. You would think that this rich get richer effect would help the most talented person win faster, right? But the research shows the exact opposite is true. In a simple model where skill is the only thing, the competition is over quickly. But in the cumulative advantage model, the competition goes on for a dramatically longer time. So what on earth is going on?
It's because this system creates a totally bizarre, counterintuitive phenomenon. The researchers gave it this fantastic name, the struggle of the fittest. And no, that's not a typo. It's the struggle of the fittest, not survival of the fittest. So what does that mean? It means, in a compounding system, a single stroke of pure dumb luck early on can put a less skilled person in the lead. And once they're ahead, that rich get richer feedback loop kicks in and helps them stay there. Meanwhile, the person who is actually more skilled is forced to struggle sometimes for a very, very long time just to overcome that initial random head start. Let that just sink in for a second. The math is pretty clear on this. In systems that are governed by compounding, which by the way is a huge part of our world, an early advantage, even one that comes from nothing more than sheer luck, can actually be more powerful than superior skill for a shockingly long time.
So, what do you do with this information? I think there are two huge takeaways. First, on a personal level, be patient. Your efforts in that valley of disappointment are not being wasted, I promise. They are being stored. You just have to have the grit to push through until you hit your breakthrough. And second, be more perceptive about the world around you. When you see someone who's successful, realize it's not a simple story about skill. It's a much more complex game of persistence, timing, luck, and that compounding advantage. And all of this leaves us with one last big question. Knowing how powerfully these early advantages compound, when we look at a winner, should we just praise their hard work and their talent? Or should we also look a little deeper and maybe start to question the rules of the game itself?